Welcome to the Marlene Saunders show where we have real talk, real conversations, and you're welcome to it. Today, we're here on the Blah 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 podcast where we're going to chit chat on an amazing topic. So, how's everybody doing? It's so good to be back here on this channel live. I was supposed to upload a video, but my file got corrupted, so live it is. How's everybody doing? I really don't feel like being on camera, but if you guys want me to be on camera, I have no problem doing that. So, how's everybody doing? Appreciate the support. I hope everybody's doing okay. And thank you to everybody who's in the chat. Hi, Miss Queen. How are you? Welcome. Um, hey, Mocha Mima. Good to see you. I can't wait to get into this topic and talk about, you know, what I have to say here because, boy, people do a lot, right? We all know people who do a lot. People, as I would say, people who do the most. And they do. There's a lot of people out there and they do the most. And see, the whole thing about it is people think because they're not suffering any consequences, that they can do whatever they want to do and there will be no consequences to their actions. And it is absolutely not true. Thank you so much, Miss Queen, for putting their links in the chat. Just because you get away with something for a period of time, just because you haven't suffered anything, it doesn't mean you won't. I will definitely say that. Just because you have not suffered anything doesn't mean you won't. So, today's topic, what goes around comes around. Trust me, it's a real thing. The things you do to others, it always comes back. And I'm telling you, if you put out more bad things than good, when those bad things come back, it's going to bite you. Not just sting, it will bite. It's going to come back with a fury and with a vengeance. My mom used to always tell me that when I was younger, be careful of the way that you treat other people. And it's a real thing because sometimes things will happen to you and you ask yourself, what in the world did I do to deserve this? What goes around comes around. I'm trying to say that people's actions, people's actions will eventually have consequences, which they will have to deal with, even though this may not happen for a long time. Just because you haven't seen something happen to you, it does not mean it's not coming. And that's a real thing. Thank you so much, Miss Queen. And I'm going to put the link in the chat in about 10 more minutes after I get out what I have to say. For anybody who has something that they would like to share, I'm going to put my thoughts in. Okay, what goes around comes around. I did a definition, but I definitely want to get into this. There are a number of things related to the meaning of what goes around comes around. Some of them are something that a person does to another person might also be done to them. People's actions have consequences that they will eventually face. Yes, don't think that what you do to somebody, that it has no consequences. The way you treat another person, and especially I have to pause and start talking about when you do something cutthroat to another individual, especially something, a lie, a deceit, a manipulation. You may be able to fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all the time. That's a real thing. Eventually, eventually, when I say eventually, I mean eventually, it's going to come and bite you. And when it bites you, it's not going to be a little tiny thing. When you do wrong things, nasty things, it's going to come back. And it's going to come back with a fury, with a fire, with a vengeance. Like my mom used to always say, don't play with God's children. Don't do it. You may think that you can do something and there's no consequences for doing wrong and treating people nasty and bitter. But when the time comes, or your time of reckoning comes, it's going to come and it's going to burn you, not sting, not be a little ping, not be something that you can easily deal with. When you do wrong to others, it's going to burn you. It is going to burn really bad. Hey, Realist One, how are you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your support. I hope you're doing great. Yeah. So the next point about, you suffering for your consequences, the way that one individual treats another could determine how the first individual is treated later on. So don't think you're going to treat somebody a certain way, and don't think you won't get the treatment later in life. Okay, it's just a matter of time. It is just a matter of time when you do something to somebody else, especially something nasty, cutthroat, bitter, backstabbing. It's just a matter of time before it's going to come back to you. And when it comes back, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be a game. Hey, Boss Life Online, welcome. How are you doing? Good to see you. And thank you so much. Yes, please thumbs up the live. Very much appreciated. I have to say that. I have to say it. That don't think because you're not suffering at the moment that eventually you won't. Eventually you will. You will suffer. What you do in the dark always comes to the light. What you do in the dark always, when I say always, I mean always. Don't think you can do something in the darkness. Don't think you can mess with a child of God. Don't think that you can play games with other people. Don't think you can manipulate, hurt, steal, rob, lie on people, cheat people, and think that you will never suffer. Because you will. The time of reckoning is coming. I'm telling everybody, you better do right. Do right, not only for your own sake, but for other people. You don't know who another person knows. You don't know what can happen to you next. Be careful when you step on other people's toes. Be careful of the things that you say about another person. You never know who that person knows, what they can do. I'm telling you. And when somebody comes back to do something for you, it's going to be even more hurtful, painful than what you did to them. And it's a real, real thing. Hey, puzzle pieces, how are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Hey, Cod, how are you doing? And thank you, everybody, for the likes. It's very much appreciated. Hey, Tamika, how are you doing? Appreciate everybody's support. I just got two more things that I'm going to say, and then I'm going to put the link in here because I know, I'm not guessing. I know y'all have something to say. Come up here and to say it about this topic of what goes around comes around. And the next thing is the process of something returning to its original place or value after going through a rotation or a cycle. So you do something, and when that circle, when the boomerang comes back, It may slap you in the face, in the stomach, in the chest. It may hit you in your pocketbook, but you never know how the consequences of your actions, it will come back for you. And trust me, if it hasn't happened, it will. Okay? You will occasionally hear what goes around comes around said as, you will see it written, what goes around comes around. And when we talk about what goes around comes around, it's usually to reference a person that's perceived as a bad, immoral, or problematic person, that does things that's negative to other people. And other people have to deal with the problem, the pain, the strain, the aggravation, the lies, you know, what it can do to families. What goes around comes around means that eventually, whoever has done something to you or other people, it will come back. Not maybe, not doubting, not guessing. When somebody does something to another person and causes another person to suffer, they will get the consequences of the actions. And I can say for myself, especially sometimes when I feel like being petty, I want to see people suffer. I want to see people suffer for what they do. When they make your life miserable, when they do something so cold and mean and heartless, you want to see people suffer. But I'm here to tell you that people will suffer. They will. They will suffer for what they do. They always do. Okay. So someone could say what goes around comes around when they hear a hefty jail sentence given to a criminal or for a heinous act. But either way, where does this, saying "what goes around comes around" come from? This saying started in the 1970s, and this was the earliest appearance of "what goes around comes around," and it was written in the book by Eddie Stone called "Donald Writes No More." And in that book, he said, "No one can say why this person, a philosopher, does what he does, because what goes around comes around. It's the only answer people can give. It is probably the only answer that people can have to make them feel good." So that's where the saying came from. If anybody is wondering where that saying from, "what goes around comes around," it was from this book in the earliest print of 1974. In the book Eddie Stone, the Eddie Stone book, Donald Writes No More. So let's talk about, what goes around comes around. Most of the time, like, you'll hear people say things like, "You reap what you sow. As the call, so is the echo. The chickens come home to roost. So the wind reap the whirlwind." So it's a lot of different ways to say that. And I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. Uh-huh. Oh, you love that book? Yeah, me too, Nexie. Hi, Matthew. How are you? Welcome in. I put the link in the chat, for those who would like to come up and share your thoughts and your opinions on what goes around comes around. As long as you're not crazy. Not everybody. The ones that I know who frequent this chat, you're welcome to come up. I just got a little bit of a story time to share when I talk about what goes around comes around. When I was working at a certain job, I had a boss, and she was always doing nasty things to people. She would get people written up. She would get some people fired. She would lie on people to her higher up boss, and eventually she got some people fired. But one day when we were there at work and it was lunchtime, and she said, "I'm going to go out to my car and get something I left in my car." And I guess karma, life, what goes around comes around, came to bid her. Somebody had slashed her tires. All her tires were slashed. And this is around the time where, I don't know if you guys remember, a little far back, maybe about 10 years ago, when they were having, like, the tires were so expensive, like the Firestone tires were so expensive, and they slashed all four of her tires. So she had all her all her tires were flattened, and that's when tires were the most expensive. So somebody really hit her in her pocketbook. You know, don't think what you do will come. And when she came back and saying somebody slashed my tires, nobody felt sorry for her. Absolutely nobody, because she's done a lot of wrong things to a lot of people. Hey Lisa, how are you? Welcome. Hey Deborah, welcome. How are you doing? Thank you all so much for being here. And everybody, please hit the like. Very much appreciated. And that's what I always say. What you do to one person, it always comes back. And a lot of people don't really think about children when they talk about what goes around comes around. And I will definitely say that. Be careful of the way that you treat elderly people, disabled people, people who have special needs, and especially be careful how you treat your parents. Be careful. Be careful what you do to the elderly, the infirm, special needs, those who are dependent on you for care, the veterans. Be careful how you treat people who who are not in a situation to be able to care for themselves, and they really need your help. Be careful of how you treat other people, because eventually the same thing will happen to you, or it's going to hit close to you. It always comes back. It always comes back. Always. So I put the link in the chat for those who would like to share their their thoughts. But I just thought that I would say that, for a long time I always used to see people do things, especially when I was younger. And there are a lot of people out there that think that they're, what is it called? I'm trying to think of the right word to picture what I want to say, but some people think that they can do whatever they want to, and they will never have to suffer. They will never have to reap what they sow. They'll never have to face the consequences of their actions. That they can always do whatever they want to do, and it will never affect them. And I'm telling you that when you mess with children, the elderly, especially, deceive, hurt somebody. And another way that I will say that what goes around comes around in relationships. In relationships, I say that all the time. If you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody, don't play games with people's feelings. And I get it, if you don't want to be in a relationship, if you're just hanging out and just having fun, tell people that from the beginning. Like, don't play games with people. And not just that too, in in serious relationships, in marriages, um, don't play games. And a lot of people, they play games and they think they could do whatever they want to, which of course you can always say and do what you want to, but also with that comes, with that comes the consequences. With that comes, the um, for every action there is a reaction. There's something that's going to happen because you made certain choices. So be careful about the choices that you make. Be careful about the way you treat other people. When I was younger, I will say, being 100% honest, I was one of the worst children. I really was. I was a terrible child. And I think about all the time, and I always say, I was like, God, I'm so sorry for the way I was. But that's just who I was. I was a very inquisitive child. I did whatever I wanted to do. And especially if my parents said no, Whatever my parents told me I should not do, that's exactly what I was going to do. Yeah, I was that child. But with that also came consequences. When I got to be older, um, I found out that I was definitely the person who was interested in having lots of friends and being in a big crowd with a lot of people. But then I saw like what my mom used to say, just because you have a lot of people around you, it's about the people who are there for you when, when you need help, when you feel sad, when you feel alone, when you feel depressed. That's when you find out who your real people are. And I definitely found that out for sure as I got older, as I aged, that not everybody is your friend. And people who say they're your friend, people say that they love you, but love is an action word. It's about what a person is willing to do because they love you, what a person is willing to do because they support you. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day. It's about when 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 it's hard, when it's difficult, that's when people show that they're really your friend, that they really care about you. And I didn't understand when I was younger. I wish that I had been more focused in school. I definitely was not a person about my books. I absolutely hated school for many, many reasons, because of my home environment, because kids made my life absolutely miserable when I was in school. I was bullied from the time I started school to the time I left high school. So, to say the least, I could not wait to get out of school. So, I was not a scholar in school, but I found when I got to college, that's when I really excelled, because it wasn't about other kids and I didn't have to stay anywhere I didn't want to. So I got to be hyper focused. But I'm telling you that I wish I would have listened to my mom. Probably if I had better grades, I would have got scholarships and other things. But because I didn't listen to my parents. So any kids out there, anybody under 18 listening to the message, listening to this podcast, listen to your parents. When I was younger, oh man, it's so much pain and heartache I had to suffer with because I did not listen to my parents. I didn't listen to my siblings. I always thought that I could just do whatever I want to and that I would never suffer. And yes, it's true. In the beginning, you may not be suffering in the beginning, but eventually, eventually you do suffer from choosing the wrong person. And I don't know why, but moms or dads or older people, they know exactly, they're spot on almost all the time when they say that a person isn't good for you, or when you have a friend and they try to tell you that something isn't a good idea, and a person that you really know, but you don't want to listen to them because you want to do what you want to do. All of those things, it has consequences. And I know for myself that I never used to like to be told what to do. I've always been the person that has walked to the beat of my own drum. And for many reasons, it hurt me as well. It hurts eventually when you see that what somebody else said to you, that they were like they were right. And it takes a mature person, a grown person, to admit that what another person said to me, they actually knew what they were talking about. And people try to protect us. I know that my mom, especially, she tried so hard to protect me from so many things because of the things that she went through. And I don't know if you all went through that too. Were you a person to listen while you were young, or did you have a hard head? A hard head like me. I had to see. For me, I was not a person that somebody telling me something wasn't a good idea, or that's dangerous, or this and this will happen. I had to see, like, I needed to be shown. Okay, show me that if I don't do if I do that, that this will happen to me. I needed to see it. A 1 + 1 = 2. I was that person. So, but with all of that, not all the time you can get examples of something wrong will happen to you if you do something. Sometimes life just happens to us. Life can happen to a lot of us, and we just don't know, honestly, what else to do but to suffer. And I suffered a lot. You all just don't even understand. I suffered a lot because of a lot of things, because I didn't listen to my parents, because I didn't listen to family, because I didn't listen to my friends. But one thing that I will say to you guys, that what goes around comes around. I didn't trust my own intuition. I didn't tap into discernment. And there's a lot of things that we know that we should do. Our mind tells us something is not right, something is not good, but we make a decision sometimes to do it anyways. And when something doesn't feel right, most of the time it's usually spot on. So listen to your own mind, listen to your own self when it tells you something isn't a good idea. And it definitely takes some maturity. It takes having a responsibility, being responsible, wanting the best for yourself. And until you're at that place in your life where you're actually responsible for yourself, you mature, and maturity isn't always in your age. Maturity is emotional maturity. It's knowing what to do with your emotions and not letting other people take advantage of you. Hey, Gio.
Hey, Marlene. I just came up to say, my mom used to say, and my dad used to say, what go around, come around. If you keep doing the things that you're doing, it may not happen to you right now. You might get away with it for a long time, but in the end, you will pay for it in some form, shape, or fashion. Now, that's what they used to say, and I used to look at them because, see, when you're young, you think you can get away with a lot of stuff, and you really don't think about how you're harming another person. And when you bully them, talk about them, or, just be mean to people just because you can, and all that kind of stuff. Well, you will pay for it down the line some kind of way. It may not come back to you in the same form that you gave it, but trust me, you will get it back. Okay? And also, sometimes we do it to ourselves when we make wrong decisions about our lives, our financial stuff, because it really came back to kick me in the butt. And that was just a lesson learned, you know. But most people, but what I wanted to say tonight is when you do bad to other people, and you think, you laugh about it, and you think, oh, that's what they get. They shouldn't have did this and that and that and that. It will come back to you. And I don't know when or where or how, but it will. Okay? And I believe that's what happens. Sometimes the people that have done me so wrong for no reasons, I don't know where they are today or what they're doing with their lives or anything like that. But I know, somewhere down the line, they got exactly what they gave to me. They got it worse. Okay. But I don't sit around thinking about that or what have you. What I think about is how I want to be treated. So I try to treat people decent. Okay. And because I believe that if I do something really bad or funky to somebody, that's going to come back to me in some shape, form, or fashion. So that's all I have to say about this topic, Marlene.
Well, I just want to add one thing, Gio. So you're saying that that you treat people. What did you say? You treat people with respect.
Yes, my thing is, back in the day when I was a kid and stuff like that, I did not have time to talk about people. We didn't have a lot. We were poor, okay? Poor. Let me just say the right word, poor, okay? And we used to get hand-me-down clothes, and as kids at school used to tease us about it and stuff like that. But like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to worry about that because my parents kept us in the church. Plus, I was trying to figure out how to get paid back then. So I learned how to play the piano myself. After I asked, they said if you ask God for something, that He will give it to you. So I believe that because that's all we ever heard when we went to church. And so I just said, God, I can make some money if I can learn how to play the piano. Could you do that for me? So I did, and that happened, and I still play today. And I think I only had 6 months of piano lessons, but the rest I learned on my own. So I didn't take a lot of the bullying to heart because, child, I was an entrepreneur by the time I was 6 years old. Okay, but some of those kids that used to bully my whole family, my sisters and my brothers used to beat their butt. But me and my sisters, we used to cry.
Mm.
Those girls are not here anymore. I know this for a fact. They're dead.
Mm.
Okay, because what happened was they got into drugs
Wow.
and they did overdose. Okay, so if you wasn't around in school bullying and doing this and hanging out with the wrong people and stuff like that, you wouldn't, maybe you should have been, instead of bullying me, you should have been coming to church with me. You know what I'm talking about? Our clothes and all of that. Like I said, I didn't have time to be worried about that. Yes, it would bother me. I would cry, but God had put in my life so many other good things when I was young. Okay, and I think today that's why I have a lot of confidence in myself because back then, even though my confidence wavered some because of the bullying, but those girls, I remember, and I remember one of them. I don't want to say her name, but she dead too. And I did not wish them any dead to be dead, but they are. It was 5 of them,
Mhm.
and every single one of them is dead.
Wow.
Okay.
I Gia, I'm telling you that it's real. What goes around comes around because it was two girls that made my high school experience. When I say miserable, Gio, I mean miserable. I mean they bothered me from the time the bell rang. They ran past me, smacked me in the back of my head, and you know how much siblings I have. I could never tell my siblings what I was dealing with. I could never tell them because my brothers and sisters were crazy. They're not wrapped too tight, okay? They're not. So I just used to put up with it and just take it. Like they would slap me in my head. They knock my books out of my hands. They would trip me. It was just relentless until unbelievably when you get bullied so much, eventually I started. My dad told me turn it back on them. Start bullying them. So when I started doing that, then they started easing off of me because when somebody sees that they can't get to you like they used to, then they act differently because oh, you speaking up now, and he's like, go tell your counselor, tell the teacher, stand up for yourself, and that's when I started being with my brother and started boxing.
Yeah.
When I started boxing, it was over for them.
But I tell you what, lots of people, especially younger people, they in they like 17, 18, 19, 20. They think they invincible. That ain't gonna happen to me, you know. But I'm here to tell you that ain't but three things can happen. I tell my grandkids the same thing when they was around that age trying to act out. I said, boy, I take this broom and knock you upside the head. Sit down and listen to me. Okay? Ain't but three things can happen. jails, institution, and death. And you
Yeah.
don't want either one of those. I learned
Or
that from going,
also add in there homeless too.
yeah. But I learned a lot of the wisdom that I have from working at this treatment center with addicts and then going to Narcotics Anonymous and AA with them because that's as counselors, that's what we did. And I used to sit in there and I used to listen and I used to say, damn, I'm crazy too. I need straight. You can learn a lot from people that's trying to make a big change. They have hit the bottom. I mean, rock bottom. And then, I mean, it's just a miracle how God takes these people and straighten them out so that they can help other folks. You know what I'm saying? To get their lives together. And I used to sit in there and I used to just listen. And I believe that's another reason God broke me down and sent me to the therapist because after listening to all of that kind of stuff, I believe I became willing. You know what I'm saying? To make changes in my life. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I'm not no bully. I'm the type of person, if you do something to me, I'm going to let you know about it, but I'm not a bully. I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want to see people hurt. I just want to see people be good, see the good in people. But through my life, I have been talked about, hurt, and everything. But there was one thing they couldn't take away from me, and that was my talent. Because I soared in that. And I think that's why people was a bit jealous too.
Well, I can believe that, Gio, because when I first met you and I used to see all the stuff that you could do and how you were so good at doing certain things on the computer, I had a little jealousy until I had to say, hold on, check that. Well, if you want to know how to do something, just ask her. So I did.
Yeah, and I said, call me. You talking about I was crazy.
Listen, y'all, when you go through a lot of things, come on, Gio. You know that too. You know that too. When you go through things in your life, and when people hurt you, and you're like on shaky ground, like you don't have a strong foundation about yourself. I had When I met you, I just had finished going through my all my counseling and everything, my therapy when I just had met you. So I was like just learning how to, I still have my sea legs. Like I was like, I don't know about you. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if you You was like, call me. I was like, this is the internet, you know.
Yeah, but you wanted what I had.
Yeah, I wanted what you had, but I was kind of like, I got to
Yeah.
say this comment that Realist said. He said, I remember I had a bully growing up. I used to hit the corner as soon as I seen him. He said, I offered to share toys with the kid and everything. He just did not like realists. That's a
Mm.
shame. That's a shame.
Well,
And
I think it,
I can say that too, realists and everybody in the chat, that there's sometimes that you can try your best to be nice to people and people just will not like you.
that's true. No matter what you do. And that's because they don't like themselves. That's the problem right there. They don't even know how to look at themselves to see what the problem is. It's always you. You. And why can't it be me, 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 me? Because the darn show was me, 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 me. When I was in therapy, I had to take a look at that. No, it was not easy. And no, I did not like looking at myself. But I've come to find out that if I did look at myself, I could be a better person. But it takes courage to change.
Mm-hmm. It
It
does.
really do. It takes courage to change. It takes everything you have to do. But when you do it and you come out on the other side, oh, it is such a blessing. It is such a blessing, and you don't have to worry about if you gonna do wrong or bad to other people. you don't have to worry about what go around, come around, because you ain't going to be doing nothing but good things. You're not going to be talking nothing but motivation and how to get through things, because see, you went through it and you made it. That's what you get when you get to look at yourself and say, I'm doing this wrong. Help me. How can I change it? Then you don't have to worry about it. What go around comes around. Because I don't worry about it. Because I'm not going to do nothing wrong to anybody in my life ever again.
If right, Gio, like if I can help it, I'm gonna try to help somebody, not try to hurt anybody. Like, and I'll tell you what somebody said here on my YouTube channel the other day, on my motivational channel, talk about, who do you think you are? No, they said, who are you to help us? Who are you to motivate us? I was like, you need to go to therapy.
They need to go somewhere. I mean, if
I'll
you,
never get
this
that.
is they don't have a story, or either they have a story and don't want to tell it because they ain't done nothing to change it. See, when you really have looked at yourself and you have changed, you got something to share with people. Most people that say, why you trying to motivate us? You ain't got nothing to share. Oh, you need therapy. You need more than therapy. You need the Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, and the angels. Okay? Everybody. Because if you put down somebody that's trying to motivate other people to be the best person that they can be, then something wrong with them.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Listen to what Realist says here. He says he found the guy later on in life. He said, I actually walked right past him later in life. I was at the Great Escape. We walked right past each other. He stared. I stared back. I got the vibe. He still didn't like Realist. What you did to him, Realist?
Because Realist was talking noise. He ain't telling the whole story. I bet you Realist said something to the man that hurt his feelings. Did you Realist?
He said Carlos was his name. Carlos. What
Oh,
did
was that
Realist
Afro
do
Black?
to you? Don't try to be messy in my live, Gio.
Girl, I almost got choked when I said, is that Afro Black?
Long story, guys. Long story. But
Afro Black's name is Carlos. That's why.
yeah. To be honest with you, Gio, at first I was bullied in school, and then when I started to turn it around and protect myself, I became a bully. I became the bully. And then it started to be like, I thought I was so tough. And my dad, one day, I remember my dad's, so I got in a situation and law enforcement was called. And my dad said, I can get you out this time because you're 17. If you do this again in a few months, when you're 18, you're going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And
see, but that was the only way you could protect yourself. You had been bullied so much.
But then I started to get very aggressive.
Oh my God. Oh, you figured this works, huh?
Yeah, I started to enjoy it. That's the thing. I started to enjoy it. And my dad told me one day, he was like, he really posted me up in the corner, y'all. Grabbed me up and everything. He was like, this time I can save you. He said, you do this in a few months, you on your own. So that's when your girl started to think like,
Really talking about he ain't do nothing to that boy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Realist. If he's a grown man and he's still looking at you like that, something wrong with him. Stay away from him, Realist.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out here, Gio, and we've met them. I know everybody has met people, and they're not wrapped too tight.
No,
they don't have all the marbles. The elevator does not go to the top floor.
That's why you should not mess with people, because you don't know, you might be that last person that pissed them off, and then they take everything out on you. That's why I be nice to people. What you say? I'm nice to people. Especially when I
I,
meet people I don't know. How are you
ju-
doing? Oh, I'm great. How are you? So,
just like that manager who got her tires slashed. I'm telling you. And I ain't gonna tell you, that was back when one tire was $400 when they was having a tire shortage. So all four of her tires, that's $1,600
real.
to begin with. You don't even talk about putting the what is it called? Labor. That don't include labor.
Huh. Look what Realist wrote. He was introduced to him by my neighbor who I was friends with. They were cousins. We all played together. After that first meeting, he started hating me from that point on. Yeah, because he probably was best friends with the cousin, then here come you.
No, I think I know what it was. Is that probably another girl liked Realist, and then he noticed that he couldn't get the attention like Realist got. I'm telling you, that's
Well, was it boys? Were the cousins boys, or was the cousin girl boy Realist? What? But when I saw him at the Great Escape, he was like 13, Gio. Oh, he was 13.
mm,
Child, that's some chilling stuff there.
yeah, that's children stuff. That's children stuff.
Chilling
But
stuff. That's not children stuff. That's chilling stuff.
yeah. Oh, Realist said he wasn't that smooth at the time, so it wasn't about a girl. All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because I thought, because a lot of times in my neighborhood, dudes always scrap about a chick. If one guy likes the girl and then he noticed the girl like his friend, they fight. So
Oh my God. I was thinking about what my daughter said one time when two of her kids was getting bullied in school, and she met the kids at the bus stop, and the bullies was talking noise to her, and she said, I don't know what the y'all talking noise to me because I fight kids. And she said when she said it, she stepped to them and they ran. And her kids ain't had no more problem. They was saying, her mama fight. Hey, mama fight kids. She wasn't going to do nothing to her, but they pissed her off talking about her in the front of
mm,
her face.
wow.
They started
Realist said
early,
if it,
girl.
Realist said, trust me, if it would have been over a chick, I would have easily backed off.
Mm.
Mm. Well, not in my neighborhood. They used to scrap over that kind of stuff. And I got used to get involved in it, Gio. Can you believe it? I have nothing to do with it. Nothing. But because I had brothers and sisters, if somebody liked my brother or my sister, I got involved in it because that was my sibling.
Wait a minute. Let's dissect this. What really said though. Really said I wasn't that smooth at that time, Marlene. So what does he say at that time? He was only like 13. He wasn't smooth, but now that he's a grown man, he's smooth with the girls. Is that what you're trying to say, really?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like, Gio.
That's what
It
it
sounded
sounds
like
like to me.
he's smooth these days.
He
All
got
right, all right.
game. He got swag and he got game. Come on, realist. Realist, hold on. Why G on my butt? Well, realist.
Mm-mm-mm.
You know I
But
like talking to realists.
I know, but I got involved in quite a few scraps, Gio, and I had nothing to do with none of it. I used to just be in my room playing with my doll babies, mind my own business, having my own little imaginary friends conversation, and my brother would bust in the room, talk about, "Come on, we scrapping." And in my family, if one person was fighting, everybody was fighting.
Uh, uh.
So I used to be involved in fights, and I don't even know what's going on. But if I see somebody beating my brother or my sister, guess what? It's over for you. And Dad used to say, "Oh man, you got hit pretty good on your left eye." And it would be Dad would say what they was talking about. I said, "I don't know. I just saw a chick hitting my sister, and it was over."
Marlene. Tell well, families always been like that. You beat up the brother, you have to fight the whole family.
Mhm.
But look here, Will is trying to say he was 13 at that time, but we're not talking about when you 13, Will. Don't be trying to divert back to 13. We talking about here and in the present. You saying that you are smoother now. That's what we read, right, Marlene?
Yeah. Well, he says he wasn't thinking about chicks at 13. He says they was thinking about him. Mm.
Ah, shoot, please, realist. Now, up here, he said, okay, I see that puzzle is up here, but
Yeah.
but we on realist right now. He said I wasn't that smooth at that time, Marlene. So that means that he's smooth now, right?
Yeah. That's a that he says he was. He says in his next comment, I was shy at the time. That mean he didn't say he's shy now at the
Yeah,
time.
right. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
trying to like get
That's a
around what we.
diversion. That's a diversion.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
anyways, we got Nexie up here. Hi Nexie, welcome.
Hi, Marlene. Hi, Gio.
Hey, Nancy.
Well, Gio. What? Are you trying to start a fight with realist?
What,
I've been
what,
laughing my
Nancy?
heart out.
What you say,
I
Nancy?
said, are you trying to start a fight with realist? No, I was just
No,
laughing. I
I'm
couldn't
not.
come up.
Cause see, the reason I'm on real is cause see, every time used to share before, he used to have stuff to say. So I'm just saying, well, now it's my time. I'm gonna say what I want to say, and I'm just picking on realist, really. But I like realist. I think he's a real guy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he is super cool.
Yeah.
But the
So
topic, what goes
Realist
around.
knows that I'm playing with him. He knows that
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just
we
really
all do.
trying to find out more about him because I don't know too much about him. And so I guess I'm gonna have to go over to his channel and hang out to find out who he really is. He say he's the realest 100. Realist
Oh,
100. Okay, let's find out.
oh my goodness.
I have nothing to say. Hey Nexie, how you doing?
Hey,
Talking about
Marlene.
LOL, you all right, Gio. Now that lets me know he's trying to be young. He might be in his late 30s, early 40s, something like that. Using that kind of language because my grandkids do. They say
Mm.
most of the time, Gio, you use it. Gio, my grandkids will say, Granny, you doing the most. I said, what the hell is the most? I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on and you need to pick one thing to do. I said, if you don't go sit down over there, come before I hit you with this broom. My
You see who
grandkids,
you all see who I associate with? Mm, mm, mm,
Um,
mm, mm.
disclaimer.
And I don't have no disclaimer today. Mm.
uh,
This is
Anyways,
Gia's opinion
let's
on
get to hear
Martín's.
what Miss Nexie has to say.
okay, come on, Miss Nexie.
No, I'm sorry. That's why I couldn't come back. I was just laughing my heart out. No, you were talking about what goes around comes around. I mean, that's the topic, right?
Right.
Yeah.
My grandpa, he was always getting on my brother's case. As they got into adolescence, he was always telling them to make sure that, as they started going out with girls and stuff, to make sure that they were treating them right. You have to make sure that you're a gentleman. And my brothers will always, you know how we are with grandparents. You don't know what you're talking about. And my grandfather always said, always make sure you treat the woman right because you have sisters. Would you like what you're doing to these girls to be done to your sisters? And my brothers will look at him like he's crazy. But it's true though. That saying, what goes around comes around. My grandpa didn't use it, I guess, because it wasn't, in his time, but it is true. And the fact that he had, the insight of make sure that, you're treating women right because, your sisters are women and they're going to be treated the same way you treat others. It's pretty much what I was putting together right now is the saying, what goes around comes around.
Hmm.
Well,
What do you think?
I I can tell you that I believe in that 100%. You know, if you treat how you treat people, especially in a relationship, it always comes back to you. It always comes back to you. And I can say that, you know, if you're a good person, even after you break up with a person, they will still want you back.
Well, guess what? If you go and you treat a woman really, really bad, and down the line, I don't care how long it's gonna be, you're gonna really fall in love with somebody that's just not right for you, and it's gonna break your heart, just like you broke somebody else's. Just because I've seen that happen. And uh, if you do have sisters and you are a brother, you should treat women with respect, and the same as with your sisters, because you don't want some man doing what you do to women. You don't want some man getting your sister planner and sleeping with her, and then all of a sudden he go tell all the other friends and stuff about her and stuff. You don't want that happening to your sister, so why would you want to do it to other women? You know?
Mhm.
So I think that your grandfather was telling uh, those boys to correctly. And
Right, yeah, but it was just to the point where I was thinking, like, how your grandparents, your parents, they say a lot of things in double meaning. I never thought of it this way until today, when you guys were talking about what goes around comes around, and the different things you guys were saying. And I thought about my grandpa, and the things that, the insights he gave us, and that we don't take into account the wisdom that our grandparents passed on to us.
right, right.
We always take it for granted when they're not there anymore. Our parents or our grandparents, when they're not there anymore, is when you start valuing, you know and evaluating what they gave us. And that's what I was thinking right now, because that's something I always tell my son. My autistic son, of course I don't have to worry about him, but my other son, I would always tell him, remember, you have to treat women with respect. You have to treat them with kindness. And if something is not working, son, face it. Do your best to not hurt that person. It's going to hurt, because whatever you're going to say probably is not going to be something she likes. But make sure that you say it, with the right words. Make sure you use the right words so that you don't scar that person, because you have sisters. And I found myself saying that, and it's thanks to him, to my grandpa. And so yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Look what the
Yeah.
realist wrote.
He
Hmm.
said this one girl acts like she can't stand me. I mean, she won't speak to me or anything. We never had a falling out uh, that bad for it to be like that in response to what Gio said. I think
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
I think she thought I was trying to play on her, but I wasn't trying to. You weren't
Hmm.
trying to, but you did.
That's what I'm saying. See, but I wasn't trying to. So you have to look for the words, for the key
Mhm.
words.
Yeah, I
See,
see the keywords, Gio. I know.
trying,
I have
trying,
brothers.
realist. Now,
I have
if
brothers.
this girl, you must have done something or said something, but you don't know that you said something, realist. Okay? She may have taken it to heart, whatever you said, and that's why she won't speak to you or look at you or nothing, because maybe she did like you, but then you did or said something to change whatever, I don't know, to piss her off.
Yep. Did something because when somebody stops talking to you, it's for a reason.
But he said, but I wasn't trying to. So what was you trying to do?
Realist, may I say something?
Uh oh. I'm going on mute.
No, it's not nothing bad. All I can say to realist is, like I tell my son, give the message the way you want to receive it. How that person takes it and what she or he does with the message you're trying to deliver, that's on them. If that person doesn't want to talk to you anymore, that girl or whatever, regardless of how you said it, what you said, then that's a her problem, not you.
Then she said,
Um,
then he said she jumped out the window. I'm telling you, she wanted too much too fast. I generally liked her. So now he tells her. So they was liking one another.
so she wanted to put her foot on the gas, but he wasn't ready to accelerate yet.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what it.
Good
Yep.
man,
Yeah.
realist. Good man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You can't go too fast. I feel you on that one, realist one. For real. I feel you on that one. Yeah, and the one thing about everything is that until you're at a place in your life where you're mature enough to handle certain things, I look back and I go, like certain things I feel like I did some good things in relationships, and sometimes I look back and go, that could have been improved.
I look back and say, what was I thinking?
Man, I have no, yeah, I can't go there. I have no other relationships.
What?
No.
Nexie. Wow, so Nexie is the one princess. Okay, Nexie.
I'm sorry. I wanted to. I even told my sisters that I was gonna be the wild child, but I couldn't.
Child, I had me some fun in my 20s. In
Oh
my
man.
30s,
Ah,
when I decided to get myself together in my 30s, in my early 30s.
Miss
But in my
Gio, I was
20s,
already I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I was already married in my 30s. I've
oh,
been married all of my entire youth actually.
I've been married, what, let's see, 3 times.
Oh Lord.
3 times. The first one, well, I got it a no, so I really don't count that one. The second time was just the wrong guy. The last time was over 16 years and my husband passed away.
yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear
So
that. I'm
I
gonna tell you.
got better. I got better with choices because my picker was broke. I just said, God, you do it. And if Philip still was here, I still probably would be married to him.
Right.
Miss Gio.
Of course, Jill. Yeah.
I am so sorry. I'm so
She
sorry
said
for
she
your
says
loss.
probably.
But I have to tell you what one of my good friends says. She's been married 4 times now. Oh no, I'm sorry, 3 times with her last one. She said that the first one was for love, the second one because she was a stupid drunken night, and the third one is for money.
Well,
Oh.
And I'm
well,
Well,
so
at least she's honest.
yeah.
well,
Oh, she is.
Philip made way more money than I did. The third one made way more money, but then there was a lot more to the relationship than just money. Um, him, I found out what happiness really was and what love was really all about, and security with him. So today I know exactly what I want. If I did it again, they would have to have all three of those things. I would have to feel all of that because I want that back. I want happiness. I want security. I want for us to be able to go places. And he got to have certain something because, honey, I got spoiled.
You
Yeah,
would do it again?
Yeah.
whoa, that was a strong
That
yes.
was a doubtful yeah.
Uh, what she say? What you say next?
I said that was a doubtful yeah. I'm just kidding.
Well, at first I had to think about it. Then I went, well, yeah, if he got all that, sure will. But if he ain't, no.
Ah, I
Ah,
don't know. I don't know if I would.
I'm on the fence, Gio and Nexie. I'm on the fence, like
Well,
Well,
I'm
you,
not afraid.
I personally don't think good men exist. I'm being honest. So
Well,
I love
that's
my
just where I
freedom
am right
and
now.
my time too much. To be honest, I love the respect and that I see on my children's eyes and in the manner they treat me. I think I love that too much, like to taint it. I don't think I will ever remarry or date anyone. I will stay single
okay,
for the
so
rest
you've
of my
been
life.
married before, Nexie,
Oh
right?
yeah, married. Yeah,
Are you married now or are you
yeah,
before?
we're still married.
Oh, you still married?
Yes.
Well, to be honest with you, when I was married to Philip, he did. It was like I had like whatever I wanted to do, I could do it. He was behind me. He wasn't that type of guy that controlling and what you doing, where you going, get off the computer, none of that. He just gave me my space, and I gave him his space. And but we went, but when it was time for us to be together, we were together. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yes.
He did his thing, I did mine, and there was a lot of trust in the relationship. So that's why
Well,
I said I
see,
learned a lot of things what I
I
want and what I won't accept.
Marlene.
See, the whole thing about Marlene is men be trying to control Marlene, and Marlene can't be controlled. It will take a very special man.
Marlene, should I or shouldn't I
What do you mean, should I or shouldn't I? I don't
say
know what
what?
that means.
Tell what you know already. Oh, Miss Gio, as far as being married, yes, I'm still legally. That's what I'm asking. Should I, Marlene, or shouldn't I? Should I
No, don't go
go for?
there, G. Don't
Okay,
go there, Nancy. Don't go
okay,
there. Keep that to
Well,
yourself.
okay, good.
I'm good.
But
I like being single too, Nexie, because you're right. You don't have that, you just got your life by yourself. You can get up and go. You don't have to worry about the other person, blah, blah,
Yes,
blah. Only thing that I, miss sometimes is someone to share my life with, but not as much as I am okay with being by myself and doing exactly what I want to do when I want to do it. If I don't
yeah,
cook, I don't
that
have
is the beauty.
you know. So
mm,
there are a lot of good things about being single too, but there are pros and cons about everything in life.
Yes,
see, but the whole thing, y'all, when you have family and you have responsibilities, you never really are truly.
no, we're not.
You never have your own life. I'm like, anytime if I'm on my phone or I'm doing something, who are you talking to? Who is that?
Yeah,
And why are they coming over here? Like, man, can I
or
have my
Marlene,
business back, please?
they get
Yeah.
hungry, they get thirsty, they need to go take a shower at that particular moment that you're on the phone, even though they have had the entire day to do those things and ask you for those things before you started doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they ask you for everything and they come tap you every 5 minutes. Are you
Yep.
almost done? You're almost done.
Look what realist said. Being single helps avoid the unnecessary things you have to deal with when dealing with someone else. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is
Interesting.
true. I have to agree with him on that. But I had to go back and read what he said. He said the girl jumped out the window.
Oh my.
Wait a minute,
Oh, I
really?
knew.
She jumped out the window. Then
I thought I
you
had you
dodged a
over.
big bullet there, realist.
I thought you was over. I was like, good, Gio did good on
Yeah,
that one
she's
because I
over.
thought you.
No, he said she jumped out the window. I'm like, well, she crazy. I'm not jumping out of no window. You
I can
dodged a
tell.
big bullet there, realist. So I'm with you on that one. She
Gio,
was moving. She was moving a little bit too fast.
Gio's like, I'll jump in the window.
Yeah, and close the window. Hmm.
She jumped out of the window. What was y'all at in your room or something? She just,
You
that
you
she
you
let
want
you
to know
know
some
right then and
details,
there she
realist.
needed a therapist. Jumping
Mhm.
out of a window, Lord.
Mhm.
Yeah, of
All
course,
I can say,
everyone
all I
has
can
their
say is,
lonely moments. And you right, realist, because I do. But I always tell myself, I start looking at all the good stuff I can I don't be lonely no more. That stuff leave really fast next. I'm like, child, you had you a man, you gotta cook, and he may want you to wash his clothes, and I'm like, hell no, I'm not
listen,
that
I'm
lonely.
done. Listen, Gio and Nexie, I'm done picking up dirty socks
I
and drawers.
I work.
I'm done with that.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes.
I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Loneliness leave right quick, Nexie. All you
I
gotta do
work
is
too much.
Mm.
I know. I love work too much. I think that it will be very hard for me to if I had, if I will ever remarried, my schedule, the way I live life, I think it will be very hard for me or someone with me to understand. I love what I do. I'm always working,
I
so
always
it will be hard for that person to understand that.
listen,
yeah.
Nessie. I always all my family knows. Anybody who marries me, he's still gonna have to have his own place, and I have mine. You can't live with me.
That's
Mm.
the best
You gotta have
relationship.
your own. That will be the arrangement.
You know, where you
That's
been?
Marlene.
All of that. No, ma'am.
No, no, no.
I
Marlene,
You,
get to that.
I'll just
Marlene,
come
What we
over when I
no.
want to see you.
What about this one, Marlene? What we eating today? Get your butt in there and cook. I'm not gonna get in there and cook. We ain't eating a darn thing. Think about stuff like that. Loneliness just really leaves.
no, I
Really.
will. If he
And
says,
they
"What are we
always
eating
say,
today?"
we, what are we eating? And I said, she has
No,
We.
I will
already
say what.
eaten.
I will say, honey, I was thinking that. What are you cooking for us tonight?
I know that's right. Where are we going tonight? I'm like, we
But
ain't going
Marlene,
nowhere. I'm going out, but you staying here.
I was
Yes,
thinking,
Nessie.
Marlene, you're gonna mother night. You
You
know how
know,
before, back in the day, people would have their own sleeping quarters, like the wife had her room and the husband, and then there was a door in between. You're gonna modernize that. You're gonna have your own home. I'm gonna
Well,
have my
guess
own,
what,
and you're gonna
guys?
drive over.
Guess what? Guess what? My mom and dad had that arrangement.
what?
Yeah. All everywhere that we ever lived in a house, my mom always had her own room, and my dad always had his own room.
Yeah, my sister and her husband did too, and they've been married for almost 60 years.
Yeah, and my mom said there is no way. She always told all of us girls, if you want to stay married, you have your room, he has his. When he's getting on your nerves or whatever, vice versa, you go to your room and you close the door.
And you can send him to his room. Go
Yeah, and that's what my mom
to
would
your
do.
room.
Mama said, "Go to your room, leave me alone."
Gee,
And my dad used to say, "You getting on my nerves? I'm going to my room." Mom would say, "Bye."
uh, uh, uh. Well, really said if she actually jumped out the window, there definitely would have been nothing else to further to discuss. Oh, so that was just you saying she jumped out the window, like trying to
Mm,
get you to go faster. I
yeah.
thought he meant the girl actually jumped out the window. Shit, I thought like she needs some help. Cause I ain't about no window for no man.
I
No,
was about to say too. I was like, she ain't wrapped too tight.
no,
Mm-mm.
child. But
Yeah,
sometimes,
but
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Jill.
I was just saying, sometimes girls, they see, a guy that they really like and stuff like that. What they should do is get to know them and find out how crazy they are first. Because just because you really like them, you don't want to go too fast with a guy because they're going to show you their good side. You don't even know the bad side. Stay with them for like about a year. You're going to find out a lot.
Yep.
Then you're going to be like hitting the road, Jack.
Yep. You know what my mom used to always say, Mom Taba, I never wanted to like murder your dad, but she said, but just hold him underwater long enough for him to,
Yeah.
choke, a little water go up in his nose and he would choke and then be like, yeah, good, that's what you get. After you've been married for a long time, that's how you get.
Yeah.
Wow.
you know. So sometimes you have to really date somebody for a little while before they show you their true colors.
Hmm. My mom said the true colors didn't come out until after 20 years of marriage.
What?
Hmm. She told me that. She said what she said when you have your kids and your kids are grown, that's when you find out who you're married to.
Really?
Yeah. She said after the kids was gone, she was like, this is different. Who is this guy? Because when you're married to somebody, he's gone to work, you're gone to work. When it gets to be where everybody's grown and gone, you don't have nobody, like you're both at home together. and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who is this person? Because you don't really spend time together. This is like you see him when he's going out the door, and then at the nighttime for your boom boom, and back they're gone, you're gone. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
And a lot of times I've noticed that a lot more there's a lot more um, late divorces. You notice when people have kids and then they start thinking about divorce after the kids are grown, like you said, and out of the house. um, you start seeing the fact that there's nothing between them. There was really nothing there. It was just the kids holding, the marriage back. And I see a lot of people that get, separated or divorced because of it, because they're like there's nothing that I noticed. I found out as we stayed alone at home. I started talking more to him, and we started socializing more together, and I found out there was nothing there. And it always,
mm,
like, it always puzzled me, because I was like, how can you wait until then? But then you got to think about this. A lot of couples, they don't really talk. They work like in a factory type of way, right? You go to work, like Marlene says. I go to work. If a wife stays home, she stays home. And then you come, cook, clean the kids, schools, this, that. So you don't really have time for couple, and they don't make the time to do that either. So
mhm,
once the kids are grown and out of the house, or just grown, and you have time to actually talk to each other, it's either there's nothing there to say, or it's not really something that you want to hear. Like, that's it,
yeah,
I'm done. And I've
yeah,
seen that a lot happen, where the couples um, break up or get divorced or separated, and they're still good friends. To me, it was always, and it's always been my aim that, you know, separation, my divorce, whatever, if it ever happens you know, at a point, it has to be a friendly one. I'm not saying we're going to be best friends. I'm saying that we're going to work, we're going to get along perfectly fine. Probably, it's good, or, better probably than when we were married, and we're going to make it work and be friends because we have children in common. My
mhm,
parents separated when I was 5 years old. My father passed away last year. They were separated. They had been at that point probably like 47, 48 years, or maybe more. And they never spoke to each other again, ever. And it wasn't because of my father, it was my mom. The hatred she had towards him didn't allow her to reconcile that. She never, I guess, forgave him, or she never forgave herself. I don't know. I've never asked her that, but she never spoke to my dad. They were never in a room together ever again. Like, it was so bizarre. And I always wanted to change that. And my sisters as well, we always say, no matter what happens in our marriages, we're going to try to co-parent, even if they're not, our best friends, or we don't like them. It doesn't matter. We're gonna do it for our kids, so our kids don't feel what we feel.
yeah. I feel
Wow.
you. I feel you, Nexie, and I see a lot of people that they, if and it depends on the maturity of two both people in the relationship. You find out how mature you are when there's a breakup. You definitely find out who's who's more mature, because most of the time it's always one person who's usually more mature than the other. So the person who's really immature just chooses to not deal with that person anymore because of whatever. And then especially I've seen when one person is still bitter or still wanting that person, they didn't want the relationship to end, and then that person gets in another relationship or they get married. Like, that's when all of the problems come out, and they try to do things to sabotage their new relationship or new marriage because they have not let them go. It's one of those things like, I don't want you, but I don't want you to be with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But Marlene and next thing I'm gonna go because I got to get up early in the morning to go with my sister somewhere. So I need to go and get ready to go to sleep.
Okay,
So
Gio.
I'll
Okay,
see
Thank
Miss
you
y'all
Gio.
so
later.
much.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
But yeah, it's
And
crazy how
yeah, and
people
I
do
and
that,
I say
Marlene.
that. I don't understand that. I feel like that's so, I don't know. I guess I'm at a place in my life where I'm at a very mature place emotionally. Like I know how to have, I know how to communicate how I feel. I'm not a person that if if you see something that you don't like, that I'm not the type of person that if I'm doing something wrong, I'm not the type of person that if you say something to me, I'm gonna come out of a bag on you. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think until you get to that place with yourself, that you're not really in a good place in any relationship. And
Yeah,
it does take,
you're not mature.
yeah, it does take time because my mom got married when she was 20, I think 24.
Hmm.
So, you know, she was 24, she already had a kid. And then she married my dad, and my dad had a kid. And then they got together and they had 8 kids. And my mom said, like, throughout that, you still, when you're in a relationship, you still go through the process of, yeah, you're in a relationship, but also you're at a place too where you also are getting to know yourself, and that changes. So,
Hmm.
so my mom is like, by the time it got to be where all the kids are grown, like, of course, my dad's like, you're not the person that I married. Of course not. Nobody should be the same person in 20 years.
Yeah, I hope
Everybody
not.
should improve and be better. And that used to be always my dad's contention. Because I think my dad was kind of the type of person that he wanted somebody who was old fashioned, you know, served, and you know what I'm trying to say next to, like,
Yes,
take
yes, I
care
do.
of me. That's it. And then when my mom, she did that all along, but when after everybody was gone, she was like, I don't have to do that anymore. The only reason I served you is because we had kids,
Hmm.
and I'll serve you with the children. But ain't no kids in here anymore.
Like I
You
said, I
get
ain't
your,
your mama. I ain't your
yeah,
mama.
you get your own food now. So that used to be a contention with my parents, that I had to be that barrier in between, like, mom, be nice to daddy.
You two to your corners.
Yeah, I would like, daddy, go to your room.
Yeah, but it is a difficult thing, as sometimes when we're not mature adults, that we put our children in the middle of, whatever it is that is going on as a couple. I've never done that, regardless of what goes on around us. It's always been between me and him. Kids have nothing to do,
Hmm.
with whatever is going on between us. And I try to keep that no matter what. Is you don't say anything to them, I don't say anything to them. We talk among us. With whatever we're gonna argue about is between us. You don't put those kinds of thoughts or put your children in the middle of it. And I've seen a lot of couples who do that, Marlene, and it bothers me so much.
Yeah, I hate it. I see it all the time. Not all the time, but once in a while, like, I would see my mom do certain things, and she would try to put the kids in it, and my dad would be like, don't put the kids in this. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just it's just what it is. Some people do it, and when you're used to doing something for a long time, it's hard to stop bad
To
habits.
break that habit, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And the saddest thing is that kids resent you, at the end of everything. And I'm telling you from experience. Um, Even though my parents, like I said, got separated, got divorced, and everything, the one that opted out was my mother,
Okay.
right? And we still to this point, I think we just, I always ignored it, and she will see my face, and she knew I was already upset because she would always badmouth my father, our dad, to us. She would always do that. And sometimes in front of strangers, Marlene.
Mm.
And I always looked at her, and she knew when she had to stop because I just gave her that look of saying, "Lady, you have 2 seconds to retract, or you're gonna hear what I have to say." And she's always been fearful of what I have to say because I've never confronted her, no matter what, because she left when I was 5, right? But I've never said anything to her. I've always kept
Mm.
that respect because I don't want to go there yet. But she always did that. And for a little bit, when my brothers, because she moved to the United States and we stayed back home. But with my brothers, she kind of brainwashed them a little against my dad, right?
That's sad.
And but yeah, but then they grow, they're grown now and they resent what she did.
Okay.
And that's what I'm telling you from experience. I've seen this firsthand. And when my brothers say something to her, go off on her, and they throw that on her face, I just look at her with a smirk. See what I always take off when you start talking? Until recently, my sisters have been saying, stop doing that to our dad. He's already passed away. You were the one who left. So why are you the one so against him? This is all you.
Yeah,
And she remarried.
I definitely think it's unresolved issues though, Nexie. You
Mm-hmm.
do if That's why I always say that when you go from one relationship to another, you gotta close that out. You gotta have that whole conversation and a little bit of a time by yourself to like heal yourself. Like the reason why this ended was because of this, and what did I do in the relationship? What did they do? And what am I gonna do so that I don't do that in my new relationship? You gotta fix those things first before you just go and hop from one relationship to another.
And there you said a key fact. You have to take accountability, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
take what your mistake was. Her problem is, Marlene, that according to her, only my father made mistakes, right?
Oh,
She's
she's
never
perfect.
done that.
She's
She's perfect.
perfect though, huh?
And that's it. And I told her the other day, I said, look, because she remarried, my father waited until I was out of the house at 18 to start a new relationship. I have three more sisters, which is beautiful because I have three little sisters. But, he didn't want to start anything serious like that when we were still home because he didn't want us to have a step something, right?
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
is a great guy. So she remarried like right away after she left. But she never, even to this day, taken that accountability. The mistake was mine, right? I was wrong. I also did something to make this relationship not work. But
Mm-hmm.
she's never been there. It's always been my dad. It's always because of
Yeah.
my dad. And I told her the other day, I said, look, I said, before you depart this world, I said, you should actually talk to someone so you can get help. I said, I've been telling you this for years. I said, you need to talk to someone. Go to a therapist. I said, make peace with yourself. I said, you're going to need it before you go. And maybe then you can make peace with everybody else that you have harmed. I haven't harmed anyone. I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever. That's when I stopped because nobody, you cannot make anybody do anything they don't want. Even though you can see that they need it, Marine, because therapy is not a
Mhm.
crime. It's not something horrible. It's actually something
Yeah,
very good for you.
and it's not like a thing like you're tainted because oh something's wrong with you because you need therapy.
Yeah.
No, it actually shows that you're mature and you love yourself and you want to improve your relationships. That's what therapy does. Therapy should
Exactly.
make you better. Yeah.
And that's what I told her. I said, I didn't, when she rejected the idea, very upset, I said, you see, I'm not telling you go get some drugs. Let's go make a
Mm-hmm.
score. I'm telling you, you need this help,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna make you see yourself in a different. I don't need that. I'm fine. It wasn't my fault,
Mm-hmm.
and it was your dad's fault. And when she went there and I said, you don't want to do that right now. Not right now. Oh, no. I was just saying, I said, okay, whatever. Just, I gotta go. But the thing is that she doesn't want the help that she knows she desperately needs because she knows it.
Wow.
But she won't accept it because it came from someone that, because of me.
Wow. Well, I can say that I've done that before though, Nexie. Until I was mature, I wasn't very good. I had no there's no way I should have been in a relationship in my 20s. I was too messed up. I really was. And it wasn't anybody's no, it wasn't anybody else but me. I
Mm-hmm.
can say that because after healing and fixing myself, there's a lot of things that, yes, things happened to me in the past, but also there's a lot of things that I did that caused relationships to be a certain way. But it wasn't until I got into my 30s that I was like, it's not about anybody else but me. And my relationship is going to be only as good as I make it. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to make amends with myself. And I like what realist said. He said, people try to make you look bad by telling their side of the story. That whole pointing fingers thing, that's something that I can't stand. It's not that it didn't happen that way. Like when people tell their friends or family or other people like what happened in the relationship, but they also don't say what they did. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
what you did is true. I'm not saying that it's not true, but also say what you did too. I'm like, if you're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story.
Exactly. And a lot of times the especially for me, I was the last, right, of six. So my siblings lived more time with the marriage between my parents, right? So they got to see both sides of it. My older sister, the eldest, she is 17 years older than me, right? So she lived 17 years with them before I came to the world. So my sisters, my brothers, they know the dynamics of the marriage. And whenever she starts talking, now my sister, my eldest, because before she just used to cry and not say anything, and I'd be like, why don't you answer back when she's being disrespectful to you? Just tell her, don't be mean, just tell her I don't like that. But she doesn't. She used to just cry. But now my sister tells her, that's not what I remember. I remember this and that. No, no, that wasn't right. And she said, my sister will tell her now. My sister tells her now, Mom, I was there. I will tell you how it was because I was on the outside of both of you guys arguing or both of your guys' relationship. So I remember. And so the story they tell is totally different to the one she says. You know what I mean? Marlene? Marlene?
I thought I had my mic on.
Oh, I thought
I
I
was
lost
talking. I
connection.
was talking away too. What I was saying is that it's not until you get mature in a relationship that you can, you know, let yourself. Okay, you can be accountable. Like this is what I did, and this is what you did, and let's talk about both sides because both opinions are valid. I know I hear a lot of times like people say, no, it's only the woman's opinions that's valid, or it's only the man's opinions that's valid. No, it's both people in the relationships' opinions that matter. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
come to a happy medium so both of you can be, both of you can be happy to want to stay in the relationship. It can't be one sided. Who wants to be in a relationship that only one person ever is happy?
It's true. And like you sounding like my therapist when she says, in a relationship, the person has to accept their own faults, one's own faults. And I was like, but I'm perfect. He's the problem. But it is true. It is harder. For me, I think that um, what was what is actually hard for me is when people are yelling or raising their voice, maybe not yelling, but raising their voice and getting all agitated, I think for me is very difficult to see what the problem or what the cause of that is, or if I did, it's very difficult for me to take blame or accountability or fault, right? When that
Yeah.
person goes off. So I always like someone that if I make a mistake or whatever, if you're upset, just, calmly just tell me what it is that I did wrong. Maybe we can fix it, right? But I don't know.
Well, I'm definitely, I can agree, Nexty, because I'm a person that if somebody starts shouting, raising their voice, or start throwing out like certain trigger words, like when somebody says you always or you never, I immediately shut down and I'm not going to listen to anything else you have to say.
There you go. Trigger words. Yes. For me, um, I think that for me is more um how can I put it? Maybe because I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't raised with a lot of shouting or a lot of, so the trigger for me is that when somebody raises, his or her voice to that level, I shut down. I can't because I don't know how to react. So that's a trigger for me, and that's probably why you're right. That's probably why I that's it for me. I cannot hear anything you say.
Yep. I definitely agree with you, Nexie. Whenever somebody starts to raise their voice, and I found that one time I was in a relationship, and that was just naturally how he talked. He just was a loud person, and I used to always like find myself feeling frustrated with him when that's just who he was, and I was like, this will never work because I'm not used to people who are loud and make a lot of noise and like arguing. That's just not me. I didn't grow up that way. I'm a pretty chill and calm person. My dad was very chill and calm. Um, some people in my family were chill and calm, but I'm just not used to that environment. Hey, Tanya.
Hi, Tanya. And that's the thing that a lot of people, they may, they may say that it's, that you're at fault for um, not being able to stay in a relationship or whatever. But I think it's better for you to, now that you've been to therapy and everything, and that you know yourself, you know your worth more now than you probably did before. So when people say, you never last in relationships, or you pick the wrong guys on relationships, and but it's they don't give you the credit that you deserve by saying, you know what, even though you picked that particular person, because people always put that front, right, of a
Hmm.
good human or whatever, when they first meet you, you don't really know that person until you start really dating them or being in that relationship more. But you have the wisdom to say, you know what, he yells and everything, he's good on this part, but when he does that, I don't like it. And you have the wisdom to get out because you know it's something that is not going to change. But people don't give you credit for that sometimes, I feel.
Like what one thing like what my mom used to say all the time is that a lot of times in relationships people don't give you credit for the mercy and the space and the freedom that you give other people when they're in their growing pains, like when maybe when you didn't have your stuff together, maybe when you didn't have the finances, maybe when you were emotionally you didn't have your emotional intelligence. Like there's a lot of things that people don't give people credit, that so you were in a relationship and you're with somebody through their growing pains, and then when they finally do get how you want them, then the relationship is over. Like, no, 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 I invested all this time. No, 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 you're not going nowhere. I put in all this time and you're exactly how I want you, and now like somebody just walks in and finds you, you
Yeah.
like that irritates me sometimes. Like, you helped and you poured into somebody so much to help them to be a better person, and finally now they're like communicating, they're doing better, their finances is good credit, blah blah blah, and then they're like, well, I don't think this relationship is gonna
It's
work. And you're
working.
like, oh no, no.
Oh no, 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 no. That's not how this is gonna work.
So I can
I
understand
know.
why people act that way, when relationships end. Like, oh, just get another person, when people don't know about all the time, the effort, the stress.
Exactly. And that's the thing though. They don't understand that what the investment you made on dealing with this person like a therapist, right? But you're his partner, or and they don't understand that. Okay, I've gone through all these obstacles with you, and now that you are a decent human, you
Mm-hmm.
said this is not working, so you're blaming it on me, like I am the problem. It is hard sometimes to accept that, I think.
Well, my whole thing is that, especially when you start in a relationship, and you can nobody's perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we know that a person is probably a 20% individual and you're an 80. But
Mm-hmm.
you'll lower yourself down because you like the person enough, and then when the person finally gets to be an 80% guy, then they go and leave you for a 20. And you're like, wait a minute.
What just happened here?
like no, I put all this time, effort, energy. Now you're communicating, you're doing good, you're being a good person. And now you're going to try to get somebody who's a 20 and they don't have their stuff together. So now they're going to pour their effort and time into somebody else and leave the person who is faithful and loyal. See, I don't
Yeah,
get those type of
but
things.
but you see, this is where the karma comes.
Mm.
Remember the title, what goes around comes around. This is when
Yeah.
their karma comes, because I've seen a lot of um, guys and girls that have good relationship, and you can tell, what, they get along well. This looks like a very nice relationship, and then the guy or the girl breaks up because they can't stand them anymore or whatever, and they go and hook up with someone that you're looking at them like, you left that for, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah,
This
you're
is
like,
what you
you
chose
left that for that.
for that. And that it is like it's like a tsunami, what's gonna come and hit her later, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing you can do. It's if they cannot see the mistake that they're making at the moment, because they're thinking more like with their pheromones than they're thinking with their brain.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing you can do, and you can look at them and say, in your head, say, girl, you're making the biggest mistake of your life, or guy, you're making the biggest mistake by leaving this hardworking, very decent person. But hey, if that's
Mm-hmm.
what you like, I've had coworkers. I had a boss who was a very nice guy. His wife, very nice lady. They have 3 kids together, and for some reason, they're both professionals, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he leaves her for a woman that had 4 kids with 3 different guys that have nothing to do with him. He leaves his hardworking wife with 3 kids for that woman. And I'm like, how? Like, wow.
I never understand. Now let me just say, like, I don't mean to go too far off this topic, but we are talking about what goes around comes around. And I just saw that story that came out about what is his name, Steve Harvey. And it came out that his wife has cheated on him, and this is his third, I think this is his third wife. Marjorie Harvey is his third wife, and now he's having to deal with, how does it feel now? You left your other wives, not one, not two.
Mm-hmm.
You left two wives, and now on your third wife, and honestly believe this is the one that he's like thoroughly in love with her, she winds up cheating on him.
In public. I mean, like, everybody's
Yeah.
eyes on you. I can guarantee you the other wives are like, yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm
how
sorry.
does it feel now? Like I'm not saying it in a light to like
No.
glorify, because when you get hurt like that, that stuff hurts. Like, man, when you get
Yes.
cheated on, until
Mhm.
it happens to you, you really can't understand. I'm never making light of it or making fun of him or anything,
No. No, no, no.
but when you do something to another person, like I was saying, what goes around comes around. Comes
Mm-hmm.
around.
It's and it comes to you, and this is what people don't understand, Marlene, and I try to tell people this. I try to warn them in advance. Karma doesn't come to you when you're ready. Karma comes to you when you least expect it, to make the point of what it is, that what goes around comes around. you know a lot of people take that for granted, but it is true. You're at the point when you're older now, right? Not as attractive as you once were, if you ever were.
Keep it
And
real. Keep it real.
and you are probably settled and thinking this is for the long run, right? This is the person I'm gonna grow old with or whatever. And
Mhm.
then this happens in the public's eye. That has to be very painful. And like I said, we're not making fun of it, but karma comes that way. It doesn't come with the warning. It doesn't tell you when it's gonna happen to you. It never does. But when it does happen to you, it probably happens in the worst way possible, in the probably the best time of that you were thinking the best time of your life. And you have to be careful on things like that.
And the whole thing about that relationship though, Nexie, he just had this big old anniversary party for her and all this stuff, and like as soon as he comes back, he finds out that his wife is with the bodyguard.
Oh my God, that is terrible.
Like, I
That is
mean,
horrible.
like, I'm not like the biggest fan of his
I've never
because
been.
I don't have like, I'll just be honest. I'm not a big fan of people that I know have cheated.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it because I know what it feels like to be cheated on. So I'm kind of like on the side of the ex-wife. Like, I just I like I no matter what I do, I just can't like you. But it is what it is.
Yeah, but it, like I said, it comes to you when you least expect it, and that's the whole point of karma, right?
Mhm.
And which is why I tell people you have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful on what you do in life, because it when it comes back, it's probably not gonna be um, as as like if he wasn't a public person, they will
Mhm.
deal with it, by themselves, whatever. But this is something that came out to the world.
The whole world knows, like,
Exactly.
and everything that she does, that he does, everybody will be looking, asking questions. And my whole thing is that he loves to give advice to everybody. He even wrote a book on relationships, and I'm like,
I see a second book coming.
I see a second book coming. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, Tanya.
and that's the thing, that's why for me, when people make it like their point to be viewed or seen as this particular, it's I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
sure about that.
like when people try to make, like my mom always used to say that a person who tries to elevate themselves will always be humbled eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of time, whether you want to, whether you like to, whether you believe
Or
in
not.
it, whether you're ready. When it's your time to get humbled, it does not matter. God will put you on your face.
And it's true. That is very, very true. You
Mhm.
get that powerful dosage of humbleness, uh, given to you by someone that you least expected.
Mhm.
But that's
I,
what
I
it is.
I I always say that, Nexty, and that's why I always say one thing about me. I will always say that I'm always open to learn something. I'm not always right. I can always be corrected, and I can always say I'm sorry,
Hmm.
because I was like, I don't want any humbling happening over here. I'm like, I'm good. We're good over here. I'm like, I mean, I check in with God. I'm like, we're good here, right? We're good.
I'm doing great, right, God? I'm doing
Yeah,
super
yeah, I'm
great.
doing good, right? We're good.
No, and it like again, it is you cannot. But this is the thing, though. I don't know this man very well because I really don't. I don't know. I'm not a fan, so I don't really know much about him. But if you has he cheated before?
Well, I can't say 100% because I'm not them, but all I know is that he's had two other wives.
Oh,
That's all
okay.
I can say. I know he has two other wives, and this is his third wife. And when he was married to his other wives, he was never in the public showing off his wife. He's always talking about how beautiful his wife is and how his current wife made him who he is. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about the other wives when he was on the, like the road to be who he is now? What about the wife he had when he was doing Showtime at the Apollo, and when he had
Mm-hmm.
this, and when he was doing his TV series? What about the wives that he had during those times? He said it's the wife he has now that's made him who he is. And I'm like,
And that is really
listen,
sad. That is really
listen,
sad.
dude, be careful. I'm like, be careful, dude, be careful.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because I'm sure the other wives helped them, by probably working side by side with him, lighting his load on other things so that he could be at
Hmm.
the Apollo or whatever he was.
Right.
So credit should be given when it's deserved and needed. And but I don't know, like I said, if he writes a book about this, about couples or whatever he wrote it about, that's that I don't trust that process. Like you have to be careful on what you put on in writing,
That's
because
Nexie, that's why I always say about everybody can take some humble pie. Everybody can learn something. It's just like even though I'm a sister, I have many siblings, but I'm not a perfect sister. But I'm a sister that you could talk to, that will listen, that will apologize. Whereas some people will be like, "Oh no, it's always another person," and I think that's the problem with a lot of people. They make themselves seem like everybody is the problem, and they're never the problem.
mm-hmm. And that is not the right thing to do. And it saddens me because it's probably a pain that many of us have gone through, and we know how it feels, but it probably is 100 times or 1,000 times worse for him because it's in public.
Hmm.
He's in the
And the
public
whole thing
eye.
about it, Nexie, is I never saw his other wives publicly, but it's like with this one, it's like because she is, his wife currently, she is very beautiful, and I think he thinks like, oh, I can't believe I got her. Very
Well,
interesting.
very interesting. But looking at him, I'm probably sure he's shocked that that he could get, I guess, that lucky, if we can consider that
Yeah,
luck, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, you like I said, you have to also give credit to other people because you didn't get there by yourself. Like alone,
yeah.
alone, completely alone. There's probably people that have helped them along the way. And married to someone, I'm pretty sure their wives had to deal with a lot to
I
make
know
sure
that's
that
what
he
I'm saying.
arrived where he was at. So that is so sad though for him,
And
that
I
he's
al-
going through.
and I always say it's when your nose is to the grindstone, like when you're amping up to be something incredible. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that helped you.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, siblings, friends, mentors. But he says he puts everything on her. Say he's who he is because of his current wife, and I'm like, dude, careful. What I was like, you're not saying your mama. I was like,
You're
dude,
gonna get a
careful,
spoonful of
dude,
humble pie.
careful. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can't. We've had. I have someone that 2 years ago I met this someone. I'm not gonna say where, but I will tell you in private where. And
Mhm.
this girl was bragging about her fiance. They were gonna get married, and I already told, my honey and I have already talked about, when we get married, I'm not gonna be like my parents, and he's not gonna be like his parents. We're
Mm.
not gonna argue. We're
Oh,
gonna talk
she's
first.
in a dream world, right?
Oh, trust me, I'm getting there. It was so funny. So they were not gonna argue. Everything was gonna be. They were gonna talk. They're gonna have discussions about the differences that they were having. They were not gonna yell at each other, disrespect each other. She was never gonna repeat her parents' marriage.
Mm.
And my honey and I already talked about all the mistakes we're not gonna make, all the mistakes our parents made, we're not gonna make them. We're gonna be this happy go lucky couple that, the best one in the world.
Mm.
And I'm listening to all this, and some other people are there, and we wives are looking at each other like, good luck with them. So that was 2 years ago, right?
Mhm.
The middle of the pandemic, and her honey and her were gonna be the perfect couple. Fast forward 2 years, I hear her on the phone. What? Didn't I tell you yesterday to put that away? I told you because I knew. And I go to my other friend and I said, "Hey, what's going on with our honey? Did our honey make a mistake?" And then she's like, my friend goes, "I think they're discussing it right now, the way they said they were going to do." And you could hear her frustrations, her screams. And I was like, oh, I like that way that they're not repeating their parents' marriages.
Mhm. I always say that, all you can do is um just try to be the best that you can in your relationship. That's all. That's
Yeah,
all. A relationship is a risk.
Marlene, there's no way you're not going to get frustrated in a marriage. There's no
Yeah.
way you're not going to lose your cool at one point or another. But people that are in dreamland believe that they are never going to be like that because, they have talked about it when they were dating. That's different.
Yeah, we're gonna be perfect.
If
We've
I was
gone through
dating,
counseling. Yeah, we've gone through counseling. Okay,
yeah,
but have
that's
you lived
exactly.
together? Have you?
And I was like, you know what you're gonna do when you start living together? You know what the counselor's gonna be called? No, I'm not gonna tell you. You call him yourself. And we used to laugh because, excuse me, we used to laugh because we were like, oh my gosh, she's in La La Land. There's no such a thing as that. We all have our own little quirks, likes, dislikes that people, like I said, don't like. And the fact that, you're going into a future marriage thinking that you're never going to do that, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
That on
Exactly.
itself, you're lying to yourself because it's two people living, trying to live together in one household. You're gonna have discussions, you're gonna have, good talks and everything, but there's gonna be arguments too. That's part of the marriage.
Yeah. There's gonna be times, like what my mom used to always say. A lot of people, younger people, don't understand anything about relationships because they're not friends with who they marry.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, my mom said, like when you want to hold them underwater or take them out, you say, "Why am I with them?" "Oh yeah, they're my friend." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, all
You know,
right, all right, all right." And
to
and, and
me
I think
is
and I think that's the reason why relationships don't work though. Next, see, I'll probably
some,
have to
yeah.
do a part two of that because, yeah, people aren't friends in relationships.
And that's the thing, I always tell people, I married my good friend. Regardless of what happens between us, from now in the future, we're still gonna have that friendship,
Hmm.
no matter what. And I think it's the only time you can actually say, if we ever get divorced, separated, or whatever, we're we're friends. You know, we know each
Mm-hmm.
other. We have to keep that. But for me to hear people say when they're entering into a relationship, I'm not gonna repeat that. That's that's not that's unreal.
To me,
Because
that's like a self fulfilling prophecy. Like you're already setting yourself up to fail by saying
exactly.
that it will never. You're like,
For
when anytime somebody says that, I'm always like very suspicious.
yeah, and I told her, I when she was, explaining to us that what her and her honey were gonna
Yeah.
be like when they got married. I told her, I said, to me, if a lightning strikes my husband, I'll be happy. I mean, I'll be sad too, but it's a marriage.
Mhm.
If it's
Yeah.
even if it's not a rainy day, sometimes I wish that it could strike. You know what I mean? Like that's a
Yeah.
normal thing to do because you're in a marriage. Those people that are too happy, that to me is like, dude, it's coming. Just
Mhm.
get ready because there's no such a thing as a perfect anything.
Mhm.
The world is imperfect. We are
Right.
imperfect. You
Well,
cannot expect perfection.
my mom said, and my parents were married 52 years, and my mom used to always say, sometimes they're your best friend, sometimes they're your lover, sometimes you hate them, and sometimes you just want to throw them out by the seat of their pants. Like, yeah, you
Hmm.
can go away. I don't know. I don't want to deal with you anymore. But it's when you have that foundation that you have friendship but also a relationship with a higher power. All of that kind of balances you together. And a lot of people don't have you have to have some connection that keeps you coming back to each other like a magnet. And a lot
Hmm.
of people don't have any sort of connection, like they have no friendship. Like people, oh, that's gonna have to be another conversation. But a lot of people, they just jump from when they meet somebody, they just jump into the bed, and then next thing they're married, and they don't even know who they're married to. It's just a mess. We're gonna have
It
to have a part
is.
two.
We
Yeah.
should have a part two, but it is true though, and that's what I tell a lot of like. I've heard this said a lot too. I'm so in love with him. I had the best night of my life. I'm so in love with him, and I said, no, you're not. You're in love with what happened
Hmm.
during the night, but you're not in love with this person. You don't even know this person yet. You cannot say I'm truly in love with him until you start really living together,
Hmm.
in one household and trying to work something out. That's when you fall in love with the person. Not before. You have this like, oh my God, so, he's so nice, he's so this, he's so that, and I love him. You think you do, but the real
Hmm.
test is when you start living together. That's when you know if this person is really someone that you truly love or it was just lust.
My mom always said that. Said when in the marriage vows, it should say, "I do try," not I do try. I'm gonna try, but I can't promise. I do try.
I'm not gonna go there, but yes, we should have a part two, Marlene.
Yeah, we definitely are. So I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna hold y'all any longer. I only meant to be on here for 30 minutes, and here we are 2 hours later.
It was great though.
Yeah, it
Gio,
was
it's
great though. So
hilarious.
she's always hilarious.
I couldn't come up because I was laughing so hard. I was like, I want to click it, but I was laughing. I was like, oh my God, Gio.
So what are we gonna call the part two? The next one. What did I say we were gonna talk about? People who are friends, like people don't have a friendship in
No,
marriage.
if only lightning strike. No, yeah. You know what? Yes. We should, I think, should, should you be friends before marriage?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Right?
I like
So
that.
let me know when and I'll come back. I promise.
It's gonna be tomorrow night.
Okay, good. I'm off
Hmm.
tomorrow night.
Okay. So so tune in tomorrow. Same
Will do.
time as this one. I think I did 9:30. Yeah, nine
Yeah,
thirty p.m. tomorrow.
I'll be here
Eastern. Okay,
for
guys.
part
I'll
two.
see you guys. Don't go anywhere. Next, I'm gonna end. Thanks,
Okay.
guys, for coming. Bye. Oh,
What we
wait a
just do?
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I was just about to end, and I just saw one day. I'll pull up on the panel. Hold on. Hold on. For if it was realist,
What?
if realist came up on the panel, I would stay. If he said I'm coming up now, I'd be like, never mind. Next, we're not ending.
Good.
So that's an open invitation, realist one. Anytime you want to pull up on the panel, I will extend just for you.
Realist, we'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow,
Remember,
realist.
you better come up tomorrow.
It's okay. It's okay. Word. He says he was trying to come up, but he was waiting on the wife to grab the baby. It's
Yeah,
all.
I'm
It's
not.
all good. It's all good. Word. I'm gonna do a part 2 tomorrow. We're gonna talk about should people be friends before marriage. So I'm looking forward to that one. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye,
Stay
word.
right there. Stay right
Bye,
there
real.
next to me.
Yes, we'll do.